I'm Dr.
This
Pender,
is
the
Sports Chat with Nat.
Nat. We are so humbled and honored to have you here with us today. We just thank you for accepting the invitation to share your amazing story with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now I'm gonna just there were so many things as I can say. Let me say this. Let me start over Sports Chat with Nat fans. I need y'all to just give a round of applause to Dr. Pender. That's what I need. I need things to choose from, Dr. Pender. But since this is a sports channel, I tried to narrow it down to sports. So now, I read that you didn't know much about track and field until you were in the military. Is that correct?
That's right. I was
Okay.
25 years old.
25 years old. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I was a football player. I was with the 82nd Airborne Division and actually 82nd 503rd Airborne in Okinawa. We had gone there to get ready for Vietnam. And, the air paratroopers are the top elite and Special Forces are top elite in the Army. So I was a football player and the coach said, I want you to run against the Japanese that's training for the Olympics in Tokyo in 1964. And that was 1962. I says, Coach, I don't know anything about running track. I have track in my life. He said, well, you're the fastest guy on this football team. I never seen anybody run as fast as you. And I want you to run against these Japanese that's just coming here from Osaka, Japan. I said, well, Coach, he said, look, go down and pick up some shoes and some shorts and a shirt, and I'll pick you up and I'll take you down to Nago. So I said, okay. So I get down to Nago, Okinawa, that's the northern end of the island. There's 10,000 people. I think that half of the island was there. I mean, this place was packed. I got a picture of it. And I said, what the hell have I got myself into? So the football coach said, just do what the Japanese do. Watch them. When they warm up, you warm up. Watch them. When they come out of the blocks, you come out of the blocks. I said, I don't know, what are blocks? I didn't have any blocks. He said, just dig 2 holes. So it was on a grass track. So I dug 2 holes in the ground and the gun went off. And I said, oh, hell, I better go now. So about 25 yards, they was in front of me, and I caught them, and I won. I beat the best sprinters that was training for the Olympics that was going to be running in 1964 in Tokyo. That's how I got in track and field.
Well, you said a couple of things that I love. I love Okinawa, Japan. I love Tokyo, Japan, and I love track and field. And so since we're on track and field, let's stay on track and field for a minute. Now, the way God orchestrated this, it just blew me away. Because Dr. John Carlos just had the inaugural John Carlos 5K Run for Humanity at my alma mater, IC Norcom High School in Portsmouth, Virginia.
Yeah, he told me.
Yes. So my thing is, I was just blown away. But one of the quotes that I found that he said was that what Mel Pender accomplished is phenomenal in the world of track. Now, with that statement being said, you were 4x100 relay person, correct?
And 100.
Yes. Now, I was 4x100 relay as well. Now, with the struggles that the USA track and field team has had with the relays, how would you, if you were coaching them, how would you help them get through that struggle that they seem to have with the baton exchange over these last several years?
That's a good question. Wow, that's a hard one. Let me. I say this to you. Track and field athletes are different than they were back when we were running.
Okay.
Because they superstars. When I say superstars, prima donnas,
Okay.
they want to tell the coach what to do. Back in the day, you don't tell the coach what to do. The coach tell you you're gonna run this leg. Well, so back in 1964, 68. Tokyo and Mexico, when I ran, we had coaches from the black colleges.
Okay.
We had a coach from Morgan State, and we had Stan Wright, that was from Texas Southern. And Stan was like a father to all of us. And Stan said, you're gonna run this leg, or you're gonna run the leg. Or you don't run at all. But these kids today, if they got a friend that they think should be running on that relay team, they won't run unless their friend run on that relay leg. So that's Carl Lewis and those guys back in the day did that to those coaches, and those coaches were all Olympians. Just about most of them was Olympians. Harvey Glance was one of them, and I know John Moon was one of the coaches, and Russ Rogers was a a great hurler, but he didn't make the Olympic team. But he coached at Seton Hall, and now I'm sorry, he go to Ohio State. John Moon coached at Seton Hall. Now all these guys are familiar with relay teams,
Yes.
but these guys back in the day, man, then back then they would take two teams. Now they take two teams to the Olympics. When I was running, they only took the 300-meter runners and one alternate.
Oh, okay.
See, back then, if somebody got hurt, they would take a 200-meter guy and put him in a 100-meter guy's place to run a leg. So now you might see two guys on one leg, and the next time they run in the semifinals, the quarterfinals, you might see two other guys running.
I noticed that. And I noticed that Japan and some of the other countries keep the same players all the time on the team, and they practice year round. I noticed we switch them out sometimes.
Yes, we don't practice all year round. We don't do that because there's so many runners. So what they do, they take the best runners and then they put them in different places on the relay team. But this is why we don't win, because they don't practice enough. You have to keep the same team together. These guys have to practice together in order to get the handoffs down, your steps down. You got to have your steps down. If you don't get your steps down, you're not going to pass that baton in the international zone. So that's why we were so good at it. Stan Wright had us working day in and day out, working on those handoffs. My guy was Charlie Green. He's passed away now. Charlie Green from the University of Nebraska. We used to train every single day. Even when it wasn't practice, we go out and work on the handoffs. That's why we were so good at it, because we wanted to win. So if you want to win, you have to get out there and you have to work, and you have to get those handoffs down. So if I was a coach today, I wouldn't have that nonsense. I would say, you're going to run this, or you don't run it all. I'm ex-military. You know I'm ex-military, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm a no nonsense person. Okay. And I'm a leader, and I was a leader in the military, and I'm used to giving orders. If I say you're going to run the first leg, you're going to run the first leg. Well, coach, you're not going to run it all. Bye. That's what I would do. But some of these coaches were scared to do that. They was afraid to tell these kids that. I wouldn't be afraid to tell them that, because I'm out there to win. I'm not there to play games with you. So that's my my pitch on the relay team.
Right. So I think more coaches should not be afraid of the millionaire that they coach. So I do agree with you, and thank you for saying that. But that leads me to the next thing. You started the Youth Games Track and Field Invitational Championship in DeKalb County. Is that still currently going on?
No. I stopped doing that some years ago. It's hard to get sponsors back then. I just never picked it up again after I dropped it.
Now, do you find that the student athletes now are straying away from track and field and some of the sports that really require the dedication, and just sticking to maybe football and basketball? What's your take on that?
Well, I think the good ones are staying with it.
Okay.
I think that when I was doing my track meets, I had one of the biggest invitational track meets in Atlanta besides the Olympics. I had over 2,000 athletes came from all over the country when I had mine. And those track clubs are not like they used to be years ago. There's a lot of track clubs around Atlanta, and they still have some, but not like it used to be. And those track clubs, they used to have a lot of track meets, and they might still have them. I used to be one of the vice president for the Atlanta track and field in Atlanta. And they had track clubs giving track meets all, just like every week in the summertime. But I don't see much of that now. Of course, I don't go to that many track meets anymore. But track is not popular like it used to be. I mean, we used to run track. When I used to run track back in the day, you go to Madison Square Garden or Boston Gardens, or go to the gardens in Chicago, Cleveland, Ohio, you can't find a seat. You sell out Madison Square Garden. When I used to run, you sell it out. You can't find a seat back in the day. But they moved it to the Armory in New York. So it's not at Madison Square Garden anymore, because they can't get people to come to the track meeting anymore. So I think track and field might pick up a little bit more now because of they built that nice stadium in Eugene, Oregon.
Yes.
And yes. So if the media somebody can get the media more involved in it, I think track and field is going to come back like it used to be. Maybe not quite like it used to be. Maybe come back better. Now, in the summer, you see a lot of track and field on TV.
Yes.
You see a lot
Yes.
of international meets on TV now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But and you see a lot of college meets on TV now.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, it was a lot of club meets. You used to see club running. But hopefully, you know, these other countries are getting just as good as we are now. We can't play around these other countries anymore.
Cannot.
No,
No
yes, right.
sport.
You don't
No
play around with
sport.
these countries anymore.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of that, I also read that you once held executive positions with the National Football League Players Association and the Atlanta Hawks professional basketball team, and you're a member of 11 Hall of Fames. Let me ask you a question about the head coaching situation as far as African Americans are concerned. I know I read several of your articles and things, and I know you dealt with segregation as well as I did. Here in 2022, how do you feel about that, the status of the African American coach in professional sports?
Oh, that's a good question too. I don't think we're given the opportunity.
Okay.
I'd be 85 Halloween. Okay.
I know I was gonna say happy birthday later, but happy birthday, sir.
Yeah, and I don't look my age. I don't act my
No,
age.
you don't.
I don't drive a car like my age. I don't dress like my age. God has blessed me.
Yes.
But let me say something, sweetheart. I've been to the mountaintop.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Okay.
I've been called names. I've been treated inhuman because of the color of my skin, and I don't pull my damn punches. Okay. Just plain damn racism. That's all it is. They just don't want those black coaches in there because I think it's the money, and I think it's the racist people that run these organizations telling these coaches, these coaches, they don't want to see a black guy coaching the NFL or a basketball team. That's it, because too much money's there. They don't want to see us do that. They don't think we good. But look at the black quarterbacks we got now. Now they're getting better when it comes to quarterbacks, but for as coaches, you don't see that many black coaches anymore. You probably we got 5 now, maybe four. Okay, I missed one. We got 4 black coaches. I missed it. Yeah, they just fired one though. The one they fired one, and what team was that?
They fired Carolina's coach.
Carolina.
But the guy that they replaced him with is African American, so it is 5. You're right, it's 5. He's interim though, but
interim coach, right?
And they said he had to do an exceptional job to keep it.
Yes, they're
going
to be looking at it.
Exceptional,
right? But they said that about the quarterbacks, even in college back in the day.
Yeah.
But look at the quarterbacks now.
Yeah.
Look at the black quarterbacks. They're killing it. They're out there killing it. It's all about color. It's all about race. What, sweetheart? I did 2 tours in Vietnam. Okay, I'm lucky to be sitting in this chair right now. I done had 8 operations. Okay, cancer, leukemia, for my country. And I'll be 85 in October the 31st. I'll be 85, and I'm seeing things that I would never imagine that I would ever see in the United States of America, especially in the 4 years that Trump was president.
Yes,
that hurt me so bad when they did what they did to the Capitol. I couldn't imagine this happening in America. I mean, only a few blocks away was this long black wall with 53,000 young men and some women that gave their lives for this country. Yeah. All different colors and nationalities. And I saw a guy on TV holding a Trump flag saying he was a patriot. You know, I had to go back and see my therapist. I have post-traumatic stress. Mm-hmm. It hurt me so bad to see that. Mm-hmm. They say he was a patriot, carrying Trump's flag with his name on it. Trump ain't nothing but a, let me hush.
Say that, and we're going to get off of that. But,
okay.
But I do agree, totally agree with you. And since we're on that topic, one of my biggest experience with race was I was a kid and my parents worked at the hotels at the oceanfront. Mm-hmm. And I got in the pool one day. All of the white people got out of the pool, which leads me to my next question. Did that have anything to do with you starting the pool that you started in your community?
Yes. All right. I was working for the Atlanta Hawks, right? And I
Okay.
get a call from this lady in Linwood Park, the community that I grew up in, and said the kids want to go swimming, and they didn't have a swimming. They wanted to put a swimming pool in my neighborhood. And then I called the Parks and Recreation in DeKalb County and said, we'd like to get a pool put in Linwood Park. Well, no, we don't have the money to do that, but we can bus them to this one pool about 30 minutes away from Linwood Park. I said, we don't bus people anymore. Busing went out years ago. I said, you're not busing nobody nowhere from Linwood Park. I said, we're going to get a pool in Linwood Park. So what I did was I went and talked to the person that was in charge of DeKalb County. She was the commissioner of DeKalb County, Leona Levitan. Great lady. She was CEO of DeKalb County. And I said, look, now, I'm not rich. I said, but I'm okay. You know, if you need help with putting a pool in, I will. She said, but don't worry about that. She went to a contractor, John Williams, and he went out there and put a pool in Linwood Park. You know what they're doing now? They got rid of the pool and getting ready to put another pool out there. Now, you know why? Let me tell you why. My neighborhood sits in a pretty richy area. My neighborhood sits in a very richy area, okay, called Brookhaven, all right?
Yes.
They've been trying to get us out of there for years. Finally, they got most all the black people out of there, except a few. Probably homes in there close $500,000 to $200 million, over $1 million now. Mm-hmm. The same school they built for us with stovepipes out there, one little concrete floors, little potbelly stove in the corner, no running water, and 50 meters from the school was an outhouse for us to use. Okay, that was the school they built for us, right? So now it's a recreation center. That same school, they tore half of it down and made a nice recreation center. Okay. Now they're building a brand new school, softball fields, a running track, everything in that neighborhood, because you know who's out there now, right? Mm-hmm. They are. They out there. Okay. And because when I lived out there, we didn't even have sidewalks.
Wow.
We didn't have the street lights. Yeah. You ought to see it now. Wow. So I think there may be 6, maybe 5 black families still in the neighborhood. Okay. And they can get a lot of money for their property right now if they sold it. They can probably get like $400,000 for a piece of property like 50 by 200 deep. They can probably get about $400,000 for that piece of property right now, but they're not going anywhere.
Well, you know, since we're talking about economics and race, how did you overcome your racial, economic, and educational giants to get to where you are? And what would you say to someone that's struggling in those areas right now?
Let me say this. When I was 14 years old, we had a little cafe on the corner. We call it the Stand. With a little potbelly stove in there to keep warm at night, and a jukebox, and the guy selling hamburgers and hot dogs on a pool table. And the police would come up and turn his lights off at night. That's the only place we had to go out there. And jump out of their cars and jump out and start beating on the biggest guys out there. That's right, beat them up. And I ran home so fast one night, and I told my mother, I said, if I don't leave here, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. I said, I'm going to make you proud of me one day. Not knowing what's going to happen to me, but I told her, I said, I will not be out later than 9 o'clock at night anymore. I would be in this house. And I said, I'm going to make you. I told my grandmother, they was all watching little black and white television. I never forget it. So when I joined, back in the South, white people try to make you feel inferior. You know that. And I know I felt a little inferior because back of the bus, right on the back of the bus, black and white toilets, black and white water fountains. You go to the movie, you got to go get your ticket and walk 2 blocks around the back to go up the steps to go to the movie for the balcony. Mm-hmm. Everything was like second class back then. And I didn't, you don't know any better because that's the way you think it's supposed to be because that's where you're treated. Yeah. But when I joined the Army, I found out that I was a smart individual. Those white folk were no smarter than me. So that's why I started realizing that I was somebody. I can do anything I set my mind to. And when I learned that I could run and beat people and be the best in the world, I started going to college. I ended up going to Adelphi, I went to school everywhere I was stationed. In California, I went to school in New York. When I was stationed at West Point, upstate New York. I finished my degree at Delphi University because that's what I promised my grandparents, my mother and my grandparents, that one day I was gonna make you proud of me. So I look back on my life now, you know, you get older, you start reminiscing about life, right? And I said, I promised my parents, my grandparents that I was gonna do all these things, and God blessed me to be one of the greatest athletes in the world in track and field, 12, 11 Hall of Fames. I said, look at me, Bronze Star in Vietnam, you
Mm-hmm.
know, combat infantry badge, all the medals on my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And look at me. That's what I said. I did it. God blessed me. And that's when I realized that I was somebody, that I was no second class citizen, and I don't bow down to nobody. One thing about me, I knew who I is. I ain't gonna say am. I knew who I is. And Martin Luther King said, I've been to the mountaintop, sweetheart. I done been there. You
Okay.
understand what I'm saying? But I remember one more thing. My grandfather told me one thing. I mean, some things when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
He said, son, as you grow, you're going to be treated different because of the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you must persevere. You don't let nobody talk down to you. You what you do is you got to be the best that you can be. He said, you be the best that you can be. He said, whatever you do in life, you do the best of your ability, and you will be a great man, great young man. My grandfather only had a third grade education, right? And he only had to read by reading his Bible, and was a deacon in the church, and would sing his church songs, sit on the porch and sing his church songs. And one day he said, my buddy was on the out in the yard shooting marbles, right? And was sitting on his porch singing his church songs. And he says, boys, come here. Come on, come here. I got something to tell you. He said, read. He said, get your arithmetic. He didn't say math, your arithmetic. And he said,
Uh-huh.
listen. He said, you got to learn to listen to people that's trying to teach you something. You got to learn how to listen to old people, and you must listen to your teachers and your parents. He didn't know how to say it, but the way he said it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it made a lot of sense to make you think that, you know, he's right. He said, when he said read, he said, you got to read. You got the only way you can get you know, to make it in this world, you got to know how to read, he said. And math, you got to know math. And when I go speak to kids, I talk about my grandfather. And
Okay.
they'll jump out of their seats when I take the microphone and said, listen. They jump up out of their seats and say, this man must be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way to get their attention.
It is.
And I get their attention when I do that. I catch somebody doing something they're not supposed to do, like a second, third, fourth, fifth grader. But you know
Mm-hmm.
how they fidgeting around. And sometimes I do it to teenagers.
Yes.
Yeah. But, you know, it's been a great experience in my life to be the person I am today. God has blessed me. He has blessed me to do so much, to, you know, to have great jobs, to have great businesses, to have a nice home, have a beautiful Christian minister, intelligent, beautiful wife that takes care of me and took care of my mom before she died, and her mom and my and let me tell you, she wrote my autobiography. It took us 5 years to write it, and she
Okay.
wrote that autobiography, taking care of me, my mom, her mother, flying back and forth to Minnesota, and surgeries I was having. You know, my back, both my wrists, my neck. She was right there. She's doing all, and now she's in school getting her master's degree.
Okay.
Yes, she's some lady. She's some
Yes.
lady. I'm gonna tell you.
I saw where you had said that she was your soulmate.
That's my soulmate.
That's your soulmate. God gonna send me one if he see. Listen, Mr. Dr. Pender, I could talk to you, and ladies and gentlemen, let me say this before I give him the closing floor. I have so many accolades and awards to tell you about that Dr. Pender has done. I will post the link on below the interview to his website so that you can see all of the beautiful things that I saw. Dr. Pender, I cried. I watched the interview at the golf tournament that you did, and I cried watching the interview with that. So I will post that as well. That will be on the attached to this interview as well. It has been a pleasure and an honor to just spend a few moments with you. But before we close, I always give my guests the opportunity to say whatever you would like to say to the masses. It's your time. Say whatever you want to say about anything.
Well, the first thing I want to say is vote. Please vote. And you know who you got to vote for and why you have to vote for that person. because the 4 years that, well, the certain man that was president, you know what he did? He just turned this country around and divided us. We have to come together as one people. This is America. We have so many young men and women died to keep this country free. And one thing we don't do, we don't celebrate those people. Those people out there right now all over the world keeping you safe, and you just don't know where they are. Because I know I was in places that you never knew I was going to be in the military. We have love your families, love your friends, and trust in God, because He is real. He is so real, because I know He's real.
Yes.
He have put me out of so many different things that I know that if it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be here today, especially in Vietnam. I prayed for Him to get me home safe. Yes. There is a God. Yes. And I know we have, as Black people, we are the smartest people in the world. Yes. We are beautiful, we are smart, but we have to get smarter. We have to vote for the people that are going to keep us safe. Vote for the people who's going to stop this abortion thing. Going to vote for the people going to get us right to vote and stop keeping us from voting. You know, so we have a lot to do as Black people.
Yes,
we are so smart and so beautiful that we can do anything we set our mind to. So God bless you, sweetheart, and God bless America, and God bless all the Black people around the world. Amen.
Amen. And before we leave, we want to do this for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Pender. Happy birthday to you. And as we sang when we were kids, may God bless you. May God bless you. May God bless you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Pender.
Thank you so much. You even can sing. I don't know what that man is waiting for.
Sports Chat with Nat fans, we have had a ball today talking to Dr. Pender. Dr. Pender, we hope that this interview will touch the hearts and the minds of the people that see it and view it as much as it has touched minds. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to talking to you again in the near future. Thank you so much for this opportunity, sir.
And thank you, and thank Arlena.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlena, so much. Thank you, Arlena. I need to talk to Arlena too.
Thank you so much. God
okay,
bless.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.